every nut and bolt is tight. Keep on striving, keep on driving, keep on rolling down the road. The back streets of our dreams just keep on winding. They're leading us to highways paved with gold. Oh, we know that as long as we keep driving, we ain't never ever growing old. Keep on striving, keep on driving, keep on rolling down the road.
You know, I spent a whole winter, all kinds of money, customizing this bike to make it look all pretty. And there's one thing I did not factor into it. Do you know what that one thing was?
Driving it down a crappy gravel road.
Man, every time I come home, there's a solid hour involved in just polishing it back up totally. Does it look like it's been through a few battles?
Yeah. So why'd you go with the war theme on it?
Well, you know what? I chose a military theme because both my grandfathers were in the Second World War. You know, they were in the Air Force. My papa, Maurice Lebrun, and my grandfather, Alan Williamson, they both served our country proud. I thought it was neat to pay a little bit of tribute to them with something cool like a motorcycle like this. I think either one of those guys, they were tough old guys. I think in their day they would have loved to have rode this bike down a gravel road. And yeah, for sure.
It'd be cool to drive some cool military vehicles. You know, like I'm sure there's the private guys around here that own them. You know, like.
Oh yeah, like an old Harley, like a 45 war bike, or
how about a light armored vehicle or something crazy like that, eh?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. No, totally, yeah.
Or tanks or anything, you know.
As long as it doesn't involve me having to fly it, I think I could probably handle it. What do you guys think?
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's make it happen.
All right.
Let's see what we can do. All right.
We are on it.
Hi, Ross.
Nice to meet you.
This looks wicked. So what is this?
Well, it's a 1942 Harley Davidson, Canadian Army issue, and it's model number WLC, the C standing for Canada, as opposed to the American model WLA, A for America.
This thing looks like new. Did you restore this one?
It's been restored since 2000. It came out of Saskatchewan. It would have been built in good old Milwaukee by the Harley Davidson Company, and this one, the records show this would have gone over to Europe in the fall of 1942. They call it the bike that won the war.
Yeah.
And the Dutch called it the Liberator because there were so many of them that they saw when Holland was liberated during the Battle of the Bulge. These were being sold out of Princess Auto, Northwest Cycle. If you're one of the lucky guys to be around in the early 60s, you could have picked one up for a couple $100 still in the crate. This was a cheap Harley. You could buy a Harley for hundreds of dollars. And so all the Army stuff got thrown away.
Yeah.
This toolbox is probably a $400 to $600 touch.
How are they for getting parts now?
That's the chore, is getting the original Army bits and pieces.
So would these be the original style tires?
Those are reproduction Coker Tires military treads, so they're authentic copies that Coker Tire has made. Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice.
These saddlebags almost look like they're brand new.
Yeah, they are reproduction saddlebags because it's hard to get 70-year-old bags where it's not all dried out. But the dispatch rider would have carried his dispatches in here. There's a holster on this side where he carried his Colt 45.
That's the anti-theft device?
That's the anti-theft device, yeah, right on. This is an authentic 1942 Sten gun, 9mm.
Not necessarily used for rush hour traffic?
No, yeah, this would probably work in downtown LA pretty quick. They're not functional, but they're called de-wadded, they're welded up, they're no longer weapons. Part of the training in combat was they could lay this bike on its side. That armor plate was there to protect, and you could basically, it's like those old cowboy movies where they lay the horse down and they fire away. The concept was the same with this bike. It actually could become a dispatch rider's protection.
Could we hear it run?
Yeah, I think we can fire it up.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a ritual here, so. You always see guys on the old 45s, they prime them about 3 times. Oh, you gotta prime it with the choke it. 3 clicks. There we go. There. So it roars to life. As you go down the highway in first gear, you shift into second gear, you're not only turning the gas, but you're advancing the spark.
Kind of a mobile mechanic while you're riding?
But there's that potato sound.
That's like a true Harley sound.
That's the ultimate. Look at how low that goes down.
Would you be willing to let Willie take this one for a test drive?
Yes, I would. And it'll be a challenge for a guy to manual spark advance, gas, stick shift, foot clutch, but we'll see if he's up to the task.
What do you got here? I think I wrote an article on this bike years ago.
That's where I found it.
Oh, wow. Pardon the pun, but I'm a little bit nervous in the service about riding this thing.
Told me just make sure you bring it back in one piece.
What the? Where the hell did you get that from?
It was in the saddlebag. He said take it out and use it if I had to. So.
Oh, dude. Dude. So I can ride around with this gun right here?
Yeah. Starts pretty easy. If you want to get going, you use the foot pedal here, put it down, you're going. And he's off. You're learning fast. You're going to be like an old professional. If you want, we can fire off some shells and stuff while you're doing this. Make it seem real.
Oh.
I thought, I was getting ready. I thought maybe you broke it.
Isn't so bad. It's actually surprisingly comfortable.
Well, you're getting it now.
Man, I'm in the army now or what?
Well, pretty much.
You just got to get it in your head that clutch is on your foot instead of your hand, but it does exactly the same thing. I did all right. Can you please put the gun away now?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
starting to scare you a little bit.
Dude. I'm to understand that this motorcycle right here is worth $20,000. However, my life is worth a lot more than that, and I'm really glad that I didn't drop it. Thanks for bringing this here. This is really neat, man.
Now are you ready for some really heavy military equipment?
What are you talking about?
Oh, hi.
I'm Dave from Willy's Garage.
How are you, Dave? Yeah, good.
This is your Jeep right here, I understand?
Yeah, basically built by Ford in 1951 in Oakville, Ontario, for the Canadian Army. There were 3,000 approximately. The design was Willy's. It was built by Ford in Oakville, largely Willy's parts, and went into service in 1952. And 30,000 designates a quarter-ton truck. This particular one is 1392 in the series. Motor's about 55 horsepower. If you want to go 50 miles an hour, you're running about 5,000 engine RPM.
Think we could have a look at the engine maybe?
Sure. It's a little more complicated because it's intended to run underwater.
Nice.
There's a fitting comes off here. It sweeps up the windshield to anchor it so it can breathe.
For a snorkel?
Yep. You can drive it up to here. 134.5 cubic inches. We can lift the engine out here. So it's a very quick process. Undo 5 bolts on either side. That's the oil filter system. Every few hundred miles you give it a couple of turns and all of the junk in the system gets squeezed out into the bottom pan. These tires are 16-inch, they're non-directionals. The sense of humor the Army has is that they don't go in any direction well.
So you're prepared, you've got a shovel and an axe
yes.
there as well?
I never had to use them. Once you get to this condition, you probably don't want to go off-roading.
I noticed a big mount in the back there. What would go on that?
That's a pedestal for a 50 caliber or 30 caliber machine gun. I've got a load of radio equipment here. Now I started up in this from the radio side. As I tell people, I bought the radios and I realized that I needed something to carry them, and this seemed to be the appropriate thing.
Yep.
So I bought this from a fella. It was basically a dune buggy when he got it.
Okay.
I'm probably owner number 6 or 7. It had 4 layers of green paint and one of Caterpillar yellow when I started to rebuild it. Actually finished it in time for the 50th anniversary of VE Day. This is a blackout light. The one thing I did do was put later model turn signals into it.
Yeah, just for
So,
safety's sake.
yeah.
Mind if Willy takes it for a test drive?
No, not at all.
Oh, I love this little thing. 1952 M38 Jeep. Was originally manufactured by Willy's, but it was sent here and assembled in Oakville, Ontario by Ford. It's got all the authentic stuff on it too. You know, we've got the radio here, which I understand is still operational. We've got a very cool pair of headphones here. Come in, come in, come in. It does have vacuum powered windshield wipers, but these little things here enable you to operate them manually. So, you know, in the event that that ever failed and wouldn't be held back by a windshield wiper that didn't work. As I'm looking over at that 50 caliber Browning machine gun over there, I'm thinking that it probably mounts right on here, which gets me pretty darn excited. Never mind the opportunity to drive this thing. These tires are military spec Goodyear tires. They certainly have the look without doubt. And you know what? I'm really excited to take this little guy for a ride, and let's just hope that I can fit in it behind the steering wheel. First thing I noticed when I got in this little Jeep is how tight it is. That's how you start a vehicle up. And we're off. It's a lot like the modern day Jeep. It looks very similar, even the dash and the way the gauges are laid out. It's just a miniature version of it. It's so cute. In World War II, the average size of a North American soldier was about 5'6" and about 140 pounds. So, you know, here I am, I'm about 6 inches taller and about 100 pounds heavier than the soldier of the past. And the clock has mysteriously been turned back about 50 years plus as we putt along in the 1952 M38 Jeep. They claim that they would go about 50 miles an hour. I'd be pretty nervous to start busting along at 50. You can really feel the short wheelbase. And then you're into third gear, you know, really when you're only probably going about 20, 25 miles an hour. But it doesn't seem to run out of legs, though. It's just that because it has such a low gear ratio that it really feels like it would climb a wall at the same time, too. So let's see how she handles on a little bit of grass here now. This is a little more up its alley. Right off the bat, it seems to handle a little smoother on the grass than it did on the runway. I've never felt more like G.I. Joe in my life. Nowadays, with the modern off-road stuff, it's all about big tires and big horsepower to get you through things, and you need that big speed. But you sort of sense with this one that it just has kind of a more like a confident type footprint. What a fun little Jeep. You know, the owner claims that the value of this is about $12,000, and I'd have to almost say that he's being a little bit modest about it, but we'll assess the value at this one at $12,000, and a real bargain at that. Private Evil.
Sergeant Willy.
A Ferret Scout.
Nice.
You know what, I don't know much about it, but you know, I'll tell you what I do know. It's all-wheel drive. It's got 4 drive shafts. It's got a Rolls-Royce engine in it.
Nice.
It's got a Sten gun on it. I know that it's got 5 forward gears and 5 reverse gears. Do you know why it has those?
How come?
You got to be able to get out just as fast as you got in. The commander gets to stay up here, so that's why I made the arbitrary decision to be commander. The reality is I just plain out don't fit inside there. Holy, look at this thing. You're in. I don't know if we're ever going to get you out of there, but you're in there.
Get the jaws of life.
What's it like down there?
There's a gas pedal, brake pedal. There's a clutch to put it into different gears.
So like figures, eh? The only Rolls Royce we ever get to drive, and this is it? Thing, it's got 4 drive shafts. It's got a drive shaft for every wheel.
True all-wheel drive.
Oh man, you know, this thing was all made for business. This is pure business right here.
Solid 30 caliber machine gun.
If it's loaded, that plane right there that's been buzzing around all day is in big trouble. So you can actually drive this thing?
I'm gonna take a crack at it.
Is there like a starter button
We're
or a
taking
key?
over the world today.
We're taking the world over. There's no key in there or anything?
There is, yep.
Let's lock and load, dude. Are you sure you know what you're doing down there?
I'm gonna figure it out.
Oh, you got it now, dude.
According to the owner, the Ferret was built in England from 1952 to 1971 and used by countries all over the world, including Canada. All I can say is this thing is damn cool. I'm on top of the world in this bad boy. Pow, pow, pow. So this thing is meant for urban and off-road warfare. Man, this thing is noisy. The running gear is actually inside with Dave down there. There were more than 4,400 made, and because it's so compact, it's a real favorite with collectors. I mean, who wouldn't want a mini tank?
This thing's worth $20,000, but you know what? If the apocalypse ever arrives, this gun right here will sure come in handy.
Tally-ho!
Are you guys kidding me?
Nope.
Look at the size of this thing. Man, what is it?
Some crazy army vehicle.
I would say crazy indeed.
Big
We've
Who's
awakened
messing with
the
my
giant.
vehicle?
He was.
Sergeant Mason.
Sergeant Mason?
Sergeant Quinn.
Sergeant Quinn, nice to meet you guys. Wow. So what can you tell us about this?
It's a LAV 3 light armored vehicle, third version. Primary infantry fighting vehicle for the Canadian Forces. It carries 8 troops in the
This is
back.
a light armored vehicle?
Light armored
What's a
vehicle.
heavy armored vehicle look
It
like?
would be a tank.
Now, you've got all kinds of video equipment, all sorts of stuff in here, eh?
Whenever the crew's in there, we can turn that on and see exactly where our crew commander's taking us to.
So the guys must spend a fair bit of time sitting back here, I would think then.
It's supposed to be 7 people, but sometimes we fit upwards of 10 people in there
Oh, wow.
with kit.
Wow.
And it gets pretty
Unbelievable.
cramped and tight, especially in Afghanistan when it's so hot. We do have AC in these units, but 50, 60 degrees overseas it gets a little warm.
So these are the machines we're currently using overseas right now?
Yep. We use it in Afghanistan. It's our primary fighting vehicle over there.
How much does this thing weigh?
Without the armor on it right now, you're looking 16, 17 ton.
So 32,000 pounds. I mean, I guess a lot of that is based on its ability to protect the occupants, right?
As it is now, not really, because it's not up armored.
Explain to me what you mean by up armored.
When it's deployed in a theater operation, we have what we call bolt-on armor. It's another armor plate, depending on the size.
So it would just
it'll be
it would-
bolted
it
on
would
the
bolt directly onto it?
on with these grommets here.
Oh yeah, that's a gun, right?
That's a 25mm Bushmaster. It'll reach out and touch anybody at about 2,500 meters.
2,500 meters, 2.5 kilometers away. Oh man. So it's 8-wheel drive?
4-wheel drive, and depending on the terrain that you're in, driver just has a little toggle right beside him, switches up, bam, and you're in 8-wheel.
So you're a driver of one of these.
I'm a driver instructor.
So you've been through pretty well anywhere that this thing can go, right? All right, I'm up. So it's an automatic?
A 6-gear automatic,
Does it have a clutch though?
no clutch.
So
Just
there's
straight
nothing
on.
like you just
Nope.
put it in gear, put
it
the
in,
brake on, put it in gear and drive away, basically? Yeah.
Put it in the number you want and go. There's one more thing I got to tell you as a driver. You always wear your helmet, as we do in the back.
That's it?
That's it. You want to strap yourself in, it's just like a race car.
I guess really what I'm really most impressed about is, first off, just how comfortable absolutely it is right here. And secondly, it's pretty simple. It's an automatic transmission and
Automatic transmission, and you got to remember, I got drivers that'll sit in there for 14, 15 hours at a time, so it's got to be comfortable for them.
it's going to be in a very wide open area where I'll be driving, right? There'll be no buildings I can run into or anything.
I got an area out there about 4 or 5 kilometers clear of everything.
All right, I think that's exactly what I need. Well, man, I'm just as excited as can be about it. And you know what? You two, hop in the back. This is going to be the test ride of our lives, boys.
A version of this, also known as the Striker, is used heavily by the US Army. The Striker is actually based on this Canadian-designed LAV 3, which itself is based on a Swiss design. It's got a monster Caterpillar 3126 diesel engine that produces 350 horsepower. I think this is the heaviest thing I've ever driven. As you're driving along in this thing, you suddenly realize that you're in a weapon of mass destruction. But the reality is that it doesn't drive a lot different than a pickup truck that you could go and buy at your local Chevrolet dealership. It's really agile for the size of it. You sit up nice and high, your field of vision is amazing. But you just can't help but imagine I can go anywhere in this thing.
Wow. What an amazing ride, gentlemen. I can't thank you enough for the opportunity. I'd love to see how this thing operates at the hands of an experienced operator.
If you want to switch spots, I'll show you what she can do.
You gonna open her right up for us?
We'll see what we can do.
Oh, let's go, man.
Gotta keep moving. I gotta watch my back. Will never trust no one. Won't be prepared to attack. Some say I come from nowhere, and that's where I belong. Well, just 'cause you don't like it, well, that don't make it wrong. Oh, it's a hard way to live, but it's the only way I know how. Oh, it's a hard way to live, but it's the only way I know how.
What did you guys think of that?
Unbelievable. That was the best.
Unreal. Sergeant Quinn,
For sure.
Sergeant Mason, on behalf of my buddies here, I can't thank you guys enough. Without question, the most amazing test ride we've ever done. I mean, wow, look at this thing. Here's some evidence of what happened right here. Now, Dave, you said something that I thought was pretty neat. What was this experience like?
I said it was like surfing on 16 tons of steel.
Exactly. That's exactly what it felt like. How fast were we going when we were on the main road really giving her?
80 kilometers.
80 kilometers an hour. Wow. Just unbelievable. I mean, and you know, from every angle, this is a very ominous looking vehicle. It's certainly not a toy. It serves a distinct purpose. And the value of this is $2.5 million. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, but really, I mean, if that's what it costs to keep these guys safe, if that's what it costs to keep Canadian men and women who are protecting our freedom safe, man, it could be worth $100 million. Every one of my tax dollars would go to it. Awesome.
Whoa!
That's the anti-theft device?
That's the anti-theft device, yeah, right.
Kind of got the hang of it. You got the army pants, you got the army boots, you got the army body. You're
I don't
almost
have the
in.
army body.
You're almost in. I'm tempted to squeeze
I have the enemy's body.
Are you sure you know what you're doing down there? I'm the commander, you know. That means whatever I say goes.
All right.
All right? So when I start screaming like a little girl, you slow it down.
We're taking over this town.
This thing's worth $20,000. But if the British ever invade again, it's worth a hell of a lot more than that to me.